It's a really nice blue, and his tux is like going to match perfectly with the lace around the middle part of it. And it's just adorable. And now you're watching Media News with Comic Book Man and JR. Yeah, the shoes I'm still confused on. I don't know what I'm going to get.
You probably heard we ain't in the prisoner taking business. We in the killing Nazi business. And cousin, business is booming.
Media News, episode 62. Pathetic are the Popcornians.
Hey kids, how you doing? Comic Book Man here. Welcome to my video outhouse. It's time once again for Media News here at Alternate Reality, and as always, Alternate Reality is located at 111th and Kedzie in beautiful downtown Mount Greenwood, Chicago. And at Alternate Reality, all new comics are always 15% off every day for everyone, including you. And joining me at the outhouse, as if you can't tell, just standing here waiting for me,
joining us tonight?
is good old JR.
Hey, thanks, Comic Book Man.
No problem,
it's
JR.
It's sure nice to be back in the video outhouse.
I tell you, isn't it nice here?
It's nice that you put up a stick-up, too. Because
I can't go unless somebody's watching.
We're just getting a little ripe in here.
Woo! Yeah. First story we got up, though, and this is going to be an all-comic book for the most part, an all-comic book version of episode, I should say, of Media News. Mostly DC stuff, because the big story is, once again, Superman and Chris Nolan.
Chris Nolan and Batman and Superman.
Batman
Nolan did an interview with, I believe, the LA Times this past week, where he clarified all the rumors that have been flying around about both projects at this point. Yes. Here's the deal, according to Mr. Nolan.
What's the deal?
His brother John and David Goyer are writing Batman 3 as we speak. Now, it's the interesting part of Batman 3 is that Nolan sees this as the end of the story.
Are they going to kill Batman?
I don't know. We will find out, won't we, eventually?
Are they going to kill him?
Nolan says he would rather have a finish to the story than, in his words, blowing up the balloon and expanding the story infinitely.
Yeah.
So it's designed as Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3.
Well, it sounds to me like he had this planned out all along from the beginning, which would be fun, which is fine, because I think he's done a wonderful job with the first two films. Third film, I would assume, will be just as good, although there's always that third film
Spider-Man
trilogy fall down. If any franchise, comic book franchise, ever proved that, it's Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, fell on its face in the third film. X-Men,
well, X-Men too.
X-Men
I wasn't too crazy about those, but definitely with Spider-Man. But it wouldn't surprise me if this was the plan all along with him, and he had only so much to say, and then he was done and he was finished, which is fine because you can just reimagine Batman again.
Sure, another creative team will come in and do what they do on Batman.
Yeah, we talked before about the Spider-Man film and Spider-Man 4, and we've bitched a bit about how, this won't be as good as the previous ones. I don't have a problem with them wrapping up a trilogy if they have an idea to make a trilogy, and then someone else coming in and picking it up and doing something different with it. The thing with Spider-Man is they're just doing it to crank out as many as they can to run out an option, and they're doing them on the cheap.
And it's a shame,
which is a whole different thing,
that the Raimi run has to go out on Spider-Man 3.
Exactly.
But anyways, get back to our Christopher Nolan thing.
Yes, Superman.
The reason why Christopher Nolan really got attached to doing Superman was that
because Batman made a lot of money.
His brother and David Goyer were sitting around hashing out the story for Batman 3.
Yeah.
They were a little bit of at a stalemate there as to what they wanted to do.
And what if Superman showed up?
And Goyer said, I have this interest. They were talking about other DC characters, and he said, well, I have this take on Superman. Goyer told Nolan to take on Superman, and Nolan said, I like it. I like it. So let's run with it. So Warner's apparently said, sure, why not? This will not be based on or a continuation of or an offshoot of the Richard Donner films, according to Nolan.
So this idea for Superman, does that mean he's going to be in the third Batman film, or?
No. According to Mr. Nolan, this is the deal. They both exist in their own separate universes.
Okay.
To make the logic of what he wants to do with the characters work, and for the integrity needed for the films, they have to remain separate.
Okay.
And I'll quote, each serves to the internal logic of their own stories. They have nothing to do with each other.
Okay.
Here's a bulletin from the newsroom. It is being reported that Free Comic Book Day will be returning on the first Saturday in the month of May. As they have in the past, Alternate Reality, located in Mount Greenwood, will once again be participating. To repeat, Free Comic Book Day is returning on May the 1st, and Alternate Reality will once again be participating. We will, of course, break back in if there are any updates to the story. We now return to our regularly scheduled programming.
All right, which means that once the Justice League movie, DC decides...
They're all going to have a hard time living with each other, I think.
Christopher Nolan will probably not be involved. I think that's his way of saying he's not really involved in a Justice League.
Well, that's either his way of saying that, or that's his way of saying, I really
that's always their answer.
That's always their answer, right, exactly. Exactly. Warner's will pony up some dough, and we'll see if Nolan chomps at the bit. That's how that goes.
Oh, well, I understand artistic integrity, and you stay with your artistic integrity for as long as you possibly can.
Okay, supposedly, what the story they're working on for Superman it's not a Brainiac Luthor like we had reported the week before.
Okay.
He's not saying exactly what the deal is with the script just now, and I think it's too early in the game to talk about that. But that's where we're at right now with Superman and Batman.
Okay. Moving on in a sort of related story, Smallville.
Yes.
And you don't believe this. I've been saying this for a while, but you don't believe this. Smallville is coming back for a 10th
It's
season.
amazing to me. A decade of service.
How old is Chris Welling at this point?
Chris Welling is 33 years old. He is
Tom.
I'm sorry,
Tom Welling.
He is actually, I believe, 8 or 9 years older than Christopher Reeve was when he took the role of Superman in the first movie.
And he's
geriatric year?
and he's still playing a farm boy.
He's still playing a farm boy who works on a great metropolitan.
Well, I should say a farm boy who's trying to transition into being a city boy.
I'm amazed they were able to crank out 10 years worth of stories from that miserable.
Have you seen some of the stories?
It wasn't at first. The problem with the thing is there's only so many stories you can tell, and it was successful, and it's been successful, hence the 10th season. So they're sort of doing a lot of dancing in place.
Well, it's not so much that it's grandly successful or it's drawing huge numbers. It's drawing decent numbers for the CW, who really have nothing else at this point.
The first 5 years of the show were, Clark, I trusted you. How could you lie to me? The last 4 years of the series have been, Clark, when are you going to assume your mantle and become the hero we all know you're going to be? And the only problem with those two ideas is you thump the one to death for the first 5 years, and you thump the second one to death for the last 4 years, which I assume will be a fifth year now. So you've only got two storylines to work with,
and all I
essentially,
remember
for character development for the character.
All I remember the first season was a different high school kid had a weird superpower every week.
Well, that was a plot. That was a thing that they fell into, a trap they fell into for the first season. Yeah, which they got out of.
10 years, enjoy. 10 box sets sitting on your shelf at some point.
Continuing. Warner's, which owns Superman, is developing what big name franchise into a big franchise over at Warner's. Hopefully,
yes, they certainly are.
that one.
Yeah,
that one.
Yeah,
that one. Not this one. That one.
Hey
Very
kids,
agreeable today,
JR missed a meeting. Warner,
We are the Lollipop Guild! The
Warner's is
Lollipop
option.
Guild! The Lollipop Guild!
they've optioned not just one or
Yes.
two or three or 10
Yes.
of the L. Frank Baum Wizard of Oz books.
All 14.
All 14 of them.
Yes, he did 14.
14 of
Actually, I thought he did more than that.
No, 14 of them. And you know
Okay.
why none of the sequels books have ever been adapted into movies? I'll let you in on a secret. They stink.
They suck!
Once you get past the first
Angry
Angry
Bo,
Bo
ladies
again,
and
and
gentlemen.
that means two shows I'm invading now. After you get past the first book, it's all downhill from there, kids.
Yeah.
So hopefully whoever Warner's hires to adapt these things into films, it's got his work cut out for him.
Well, they've tried a number of times. They've tried a number of times
Return
to get
to
the
Oz.
second one off the ground.
Yeah.
And every time they do, it's just not. It just hasn't been that good. Disney tried it way back in the late '80s, and
Return to Oz. Terrible.
It
When you
just
start
doesn't
her
work.
off at an insane asylum,
Yeah.
it's a little
Yeah.
tough.
Electroshock therapy for Dorothy.
Nicole Williamson putting electrodes on Dorothy's head to send her back to Oz. That's a great way to send her back to Oz.
You know what?
No tornadoes.
Pat on her
No.
mouth.
that fits the grim and gritty version of the Wizard of Oz that we're all
The
clamoring.
Frank Miller version.
Yes.
The Frank Miller version.
Wow.
So that's it. We're
That's
done
it.
with
We're
comic book
done.
media news. We're done with that for this time. But you can read more comic book media news and franchise media news
Yes.
and media news
At the website.
At the
which
store's
has-
website.
Which has less
We are
digression than this.
insane.
which angry.
Do I have to do everything for you? www.myalternatereality.com.
So stop off at the store's website and check out all the media news that Bo sends and all the reviews that JR sends.
I send reviews.
Yes, he does.
Yep.
And until next time, this is Comic Book Man
And it's JR.
saying bye.
Where'd you get that cool new hat?
Hey, you want to save 20% off of everything in the store? Then show up on the 20th of every month, because the 20th is Founders Day here at Alternate Reality. And on Founders Day, everything except this week's new comics and bulk supplies is 20% off. That's right, every single thing in the store is 20% off every 20th here at Alternate Reality. Alternate Reality is located at 3149 West 111th Street. That's the intersection of 111th and Kedzie in Chicago, the beautiful downtown Mount Greenwood neighborhood. You can always reach us at 773-881-HERO or at the store's website, www.myalternatereality.com.